Ah, ah, how far will you go to be nice? Ah, there's the question. If you can answer it, then you know how nice you are. How far are you willing to go to be nice? Talked about it just a couple of weeks ago. Maybe I didn't talk about it. Talked about it to Victoria. But I was coming out of the VA hospital, the John Dingell, whatever it is called, down there off John R. And I was driving out of the parking area and had a fine conversation with a toll booth worker lady on the way out. That's funny to me. She said to me as I was getting ready to pull out because I'd been there just the week before, "Don't worry, I'm not getting anything out of it. They're just catching up on me." The week before, I was in an area and it said no right turn. You couldn't get out of the parking garage right there from where you were coming from over there. But this time, I was parked over there. And I saw a car coming. Even the last time I looked and I said, "They say no right turn. Why can't you go out there?" And I went the other way while other cars were going out right there. But I was right to do so. I read what was on the paper and I followed the rules. Maybe not so much as a guy that's like that, but more as a courtesy to keep things working properly in our civilization. You got to know what's going on if you're going to know what to do. But this time I was parked over there and I went to the woman. Oh, geez, I should have gotten the Valentine's card. I got a Valentine's card. It was Valentine's Day. I had my heart looked at. That's the one where it was dancing in there. And I said, "Geez, I've never seen that before." I guess that's what I look like if you get deep inside, even though I say men don't dance. And I'm coming out, and I looked, and where I'm parked, I said to the woman, I knocked on the door. It was frigid cold, like 10 degrees or something. And never mind the wind chill, we won't get into it. And she opened the thing. I said, "Hey," I said, "it says I can't turn right." I said, "But over there, can I?" And she said, "You can do whatever you want." And she was an old woman with an army shirt on, and she didn't have any teeth. And she said that, and I was like, okay, I knew that I was okay to walk out. I just wanted to be clear about it. But I turned around, I said, "Oh, you don't want to say that to me?" And she says, "With your car." She says, "I've been in trouble enough times for saying that to people." And I looked at her and I said, "It might have even been me." And she giggled and grinned. And if she'd have had teeth, I could have seen them all. And I drove out of there. And there was a guy down the road. It was a terrible snow day thing going on. And he's in the middle, and I said, "Oh, fuck." And I always help people. I try to convince people to help other people because it diminishes your rage when you're like, "What the fuck? Get out of the way." Or you can go, "Oh, push them off, help them out." And everybody moves, and it's one less person behind you saying, "What the fuck? Get out of the way." That's not going to do anything at all to solve the problem. And so I pulled up and parked illegally, and I came down, and he's just sitting there, this guy in the middle of the road. There are cars getting around him and stuff. Nobody's being an asshole yet, but nobody's stopping to help. So I said, "What are you?" And he's like, there's a recall on it. I just found out. Now it's locking up on me. I said, "I'll push it." He said, "I was able to push it this far, but by myself," because he was outside the car trying to do that. And I'm like, "You can't leave that guy out there by himself. Not if you're going to bitch about it. Do something." So I'm trying to push, and you can get it. It's like when the car's in park, you can start to get a bit of a nudge and then it locks up. And so it's like, yeah, his tires are locked. And I tried it and tried it. And he's like, no. And he was fine. He was the most innocent person I've seen in years. He was just like, well, that's it. And he was smiling. He didn't know that he should have been suffering. And I said, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And I went and I got back in my car. And then I turned around as I'm getting ready to pull out of where I was illegally parked. Don't worry, it's not going to come up later. I didn't get a ticket. I saw a guy and his kid shoving this car. They got the wheels going again, and they're shoving it. I'm like, oh! So I jumped out. I went running down, and and the kid moved over, and the dad moved over, and we pushed the car, and we got this guy to where he's going. And the guy's wearing a Spartan shirt. I didn't bother telling him that I was a finalist to be Sparty, and I got to wear the uniform. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I'm supposed to be a soldier. Soldiers are supposed to be respectable, so I just help and keep my mouth shut, right? And his kid was there. This big fucking strong guy, and his kid who looked like a hippie. I'm like, oh boy, you guys are going to have trouble in the future. But we all helped. And so what that was 3 groups of people. The guy that needed help, these 2 guys that showed up, and then me. These 2 people will take it home, but they're going to have their own opinions of it, and they're going to spread it differently. So it becomes even bigger than just the 3 groups. It becomes 4 people, which can become a crowd. Keep it under 12. About 11 and a half. Get yourself 11 full-grown people and a midget if you can. You want to get as much as you can. Keep it under 12. But the thing is that was that. And I realized today how good it felt to be the second person showing up, because I was the first person there. But I left it because the job just couldn't be done. Then the second group, this guy and his kid, they showed up. They got to know what it feels like to be the first person on the scene, the first person that's willing to just say, this fucking person needs help and I have no place to be. And they got to feel like that together. And then I showed up as the second guy. So I'm just somebody that showed up to help. As far as they know, I only did it because they were doing it, and that works. If you see other people doing something, you get involved. I guess you have to decide whether it's worthwhile or not before you fuck everything up. So that happened February 14th. And everything got taken care of. Today, I'm with Victoria in the car and the kid in the back, and we're at a stoplight. And she said, oh my God. And it's still daylight-ish. It's starting to get dim. And I was able to look in enough time as she says, oh my gosh, she saw it happening immediately. I caught it. This old man, probably 76-year-old, I'm guessing, went straight out. I saw him flat out, and he hit the ground. And I thought, good landing. You want to disperse the weight it hurts less. You're less likely to injure yourself. And here we are at a light getting ready to turn. He's on the other side on the sidewalk in the snow because for some reason lately they haven't been shoveling the sidewalks. And this old man who had a knee replacement was going to get his fucking medication, had to walk through ditches of snow and shit like that. They're not taking care of it any more than they're putting them windshield washer fluid in the squeegee fucking jug at Speedway since the elections. It seemed odd to me. It was the next day they were fucking empty and there haven't been any more in them. I guess they're going to figure out a way to make their money any way they can. Fuck the customer. Fuck you, Lumen. So we saw that guy. And I immediately, I said, because I don't know, we've never been in a situation like this. She knows I'm always alone and helping people and being spotted in town pushing a car down the street. But we've never been in it together. And I looked at her immediately. I said, we have to help. She said, yes. And so we pulled off into a spot that was not easy to get out of with this kind of traffic. And by the time I was able to run through the snowfield, it was a yard, to get to him, there were already two other people there. A man a couple of years older than me, so I'd put him at 58. He's about the age of my second brother. And then some young girl that looked very boyish and punk with a tattoo on her neck and maybe one on the side of her face. And she was there helping him. And it made me feel so good that, he's okay. And I said, where are you going? Because they'd gotten him up. It took their help to get him up out of the snow. And he's there and he's got his cane and he's like, ah. And that it was us that saw him first and we were immediately on it. But we got there when there were two different groups of people. So this makes at least 4. Don't forget the kid's perspective. But this old man who fell, this brotherly aged man that showed up immediately to help, this young punk girl showing up to help, and then me. And so they were there from the beginning. Once again, they get to experience. It does feel good when you're the first one and the only one. Sometimes when other people show up to help after you've been doing it all by yourself for so long, you say, get the fuck out of here. You feel that, but you got to let them help because it makes them feel good, and it reinforces that. That's positive reinforcement, a good feeling for something you've done. But then the kid jumped over the seat into the other side. I said, you need a ride? We'll pick you up over there. And we came and we picked the fucking guy up, and he introduced himself immediately, asked my name, gave his whole name, met the kid, got his name, and we took the guy home. And it made me feel good because he was just going to get his medication and getting his exercise. And it's just too bad that he couldn't walk down the sidewalks anymore. And he did need some help. And the thing is, you call that libtardin? I don't know what the guy was. If he'd been wearing a MAGA hat, I'd have picked him up and helped him because I know that people are people. And at some point, you got to give them something that feels good instead of something that's full of hate and giggling. That kind of giggling joy doesn't make people happy. Why do you want everybody to fall down around you? How do you think you're going to get paid back that buddy of yours owes you if his dad doesn't make it long enough and healthy enough and financially sound enough to be able to leave them something in the will. You have to take care of each other. And if you think I'm wrong, well, we're online to find out what happens if I am. If what you would find to be right happens to be true, we'll find out.